Ed here. Welcome to our newest episode of Behind the Mask. This episode, a great friend of mine from my Cleveland clinic days is joining us, and that is Dr. Baruch Fertel. Baruch, welcome to Behind the Mask.
Hi, Ed. Thanks for having me. It's great to see you
Yeah,
again.
I know it's great to reconnect. I really enjoyed working with you at the clinic. You were one of our clinical informaticists that sort of represented the ED and then emergency medicine. And you're great to work with. And I always thought the world of you, and you were always so supportive. And then now you're at NYP as the Vice President, Quality and Patient Safety. So that's pretty cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's a privilege to be here. It's a great organization doing amazing things, and the ability to work on initiatives and projects and really help take this truly amazing organization up a notch
Yeah.
is the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, I know some of the people. We have common friends, obviously, from clinic, and also I've known other people in the tech and digital space there, and they're just fantastic individuals, fantastic organization. And so I was so happy when you made the move there, and I could see how it would be a really good fit. So yeah, before we jump right in, we already talked a little bit about NYP, but anything else you want to share about your organization? Like, how long have you been with NYP now, and anything else you want to tell us?
So I've been with New York Presbyterian for 15 months. It's truly the only organization of its kind in the world, which is an integrated hospital and health system that is anchored by two Ivy League medical universities, Columbia University and Weill Cornell Medicine. So just the superb brain power, the research, the intellectual capacity, the infrastructure is just something that's unparalleled. You add on that those folks taking great care of patients throughout the city of New York. It's an organization that really has no peer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I really enjoyed, like I said, all my associations with NYP. So yeah, we're gonna jump into Behind the Mask, which is our way of sort of looking behind, getting to know the people who are leading clinical transformation in these wonderful organizations around the world. And so, Baruch, at what age did you realize you were a leader? Was there a particular time and place where it suddenly dawned on you that, wow, I think I'm a leader?
Great question. I think from when I was a teenager, I always liked getting things done. I liked being the person who organized the activities, making it work. Operations and logistics was always something that appealed to me. So in that sense, that's what it meant to me as leadership. It was only as things evolved and I realized that the next step after running projects or getting things done is leading a team, because one can't do it all themselves.
Yeah.
We need a village. We need people around us. We need a whole fellowship of people to help advance the next idea, that I started pivoting and growing into leadership roles where I worked with other people, both as peers, and now to my current role where I manage and lead others. So it's always been an evolution. I can't say it was something that I looked for initially. It just became a natural outgrowth of my desire to get the job done.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Was there something that your parents forced you to do growing up? And by the way, where did you grow up? Where did you grow up?
I grew up right here in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, okay.
I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, but I grew up here in Brooklyn, New York. So I'm a lifelong New Yorker, and every time I would drive on the FDR Drive under the New York Hospital, I always wondered if I would ever see the inside of what that building looks like. And now to have the opportunity to work here has truly been the thrill of a lifetime.
Yeah, I forgot about that. It's full circle.
Yeah, totally full circle to me coming back home. And when you asked, was there something that a parent forced me to do? It actually led right into this, because I had done a master's in public administration at Baruch College, so aptly named. And I was looking at a career in healthcare or nonprofit management. And I was also dabbling as a volunteer EMT, and I wanted to become a paramedic. And I told my parents and my wife, yeah, I'm going to take a year off. I'm going to become a paramedic, and then I'll get a real job. And they basically put me in a room and sat me down and staged an intervention where they said, come on, kids, stop it, go to medical school. And that's really, for me, I didn't see myself going down that pathway. It was something I avoided for a while. And it was something that they said, just stop it, just stop dabbling, go to medical school. And when you talk about knowing you're a leader, I think in my specialty of emergency medicine, naturally, every ER doc has to be a leader. There's a team of nurses, there's respiratory therapists, there's pharmacists, there's PCAs, there's on the radiology team, there's the laboratory team. There's so many that are working all to take care of the patients that we have in front of us in the ED. So the essence of practicing medicine nowadays is really about leadership and teamwork. And that's how it blended together for me, where I started in the clinical arena and then merged into the more administrative side of things.
Yeah, so it really wasn't until later in life, right, that you realized that you wanted to be a doc, or other people helped you realize to be a clinician. It wasn't like something like early in your childhood. It was during this intervention.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in my younger 20s, but I was about 23, 24, something like that, where I was on a different trajectory to do nonprofit management or healthcare management. And it was only after that intervention that it really crystallized for me that I wanted to be a physician and then have a career in which I can combine both the care of patients with administrative work and with some leadership in healthcare.
What is one thing that most of your coworkers may not know about you that you can share with us?
So actually, I'm a fairly private person, so I do keep my private life fairly separate. I'm fairly boring, but so that's actually, I think, as part of being successful at work, is you have to be transparent, authentic, relate to people, but acknowledge that there's parts of us that are private, our family, and I keep it that way. I keep some of my personal stuff. I don't have any crazy hobbies. I guess one thing they would know is when I was younger, I was an absolute fan of Saturday Night Live, and I've watched many, many, many episodes of Saturday Night Live. I can't do it with the current job. I just don't have time anymore. And also the humor is less appeals to me anymore, some of the topics and the way they cover them. But the sheer brilliance behind Saturday Night Live is something that really, it kept me mesmerized for many hours on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm a big fan in the early days, not so much today, but the cool thing now that you're in the city, you could actually maybe compete to be part of the live audience someday. So even though the humor may not be quite the same caliber that it was, it'd be kind of fun to be in a live audience, I think, for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really struck me when I came back to New York City. Was I was walking down 6th Avenue. I was going across to Rockefeller Center, and I was walking down 6th Avenue, and right outside the NBC building, you just see some of these stars coming out into the waiting SUVs or the waiting cars that are there for them. And you realize you truly are in the middle of things. I mean,
Yeah.
we're in Midtown Manhattan. I'm in Midtown Manhattan. It is the center of the universe. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know when I worked for New York City Health and Hospitals, I don't want to exaggerate. So I think probably saying once a month is probably pretty accurate, where I would just be walking to work or walking to the city hall, and I'd be walking through a movie set or a TV set, because they were always filming something, in New York City. So it is kind of trippy experience. Well, this borders a little bit on the personal side, but how does your faith intersect with your work? You're obviously a man of faith, and how does that, influence your work?
So I'm going to tread lightly here
Yeah.
in the current environment, but I will say that it absolutely defines who I am. My moral clarity, what I want to do, my word is key. My faith gives me purpose in what I do. And it also helps me know that I'm going to do what I think is right, regardless of the consequences. So I think less about what's the impact going to be on my career, or what's the impact going to be if I do this. If it's the right thing to do, I'm going to do it and let the chips fall where they fall. And having that integrity and having that sense of mission, sense of purpose, why, what, it's very important to me because it's what drives me.
Yeah.
And hopefully that resonates with others. I don't want to impose my faith. I don't talk about it publicly or anything like that, but it really guides me what I am. For example, after some soul searching a number of years ago, it was May, I think it was May of 2014, I stopped using what in the past was called cuss words, or words that would be not used in polite company. Nowadays things have changed.
Yeah.
Not my thing, but it was just one of those things that I realized that as a person of faith, I'm not going to talk that way. I don't want to use those kind of words.
Yeah.
Speaking refined. So it's just something that I've worked on, and sure, I let loose slip a word here and there, but it's not something that's really part of my vernacular as a result.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's super practical. I really respect that. What is your defining moment? And you already shared one earlier when you had the meeting with your wife and your parents in terms of medical school. But was there another defining moment that was like a catalyst that reinforced your trajectory or changed your destiny?
Yes, actually, a couple of years before that, it's what got me into really the bug and why I wanted to become a paramedic, which catalyzed it. Was I was actually a rescuer in 9/11. So I was in New York at the time, and I was an EMT, and we were sent to Ground Zero, and we brought patients to Bellevue Hospital, which is what made me very interested in going to NYU for medical school. You're familiar from your HHC days. So I absolutely had met some people there, and I knew that I wanted to train at NYU. That was where I wanted to be. And actually, full circle, at New York Presbyterian, Lower Manhattan, it used to be called Beekman Hospital, Downtown Hospital, is actually part of New York Presbyterian now. When I first joined the organization and I walked through those doors, I got chills because I remembered that the last time I'd walked through the doors of New York Presbyterian Downtown Hospital was on 9/11/2001, bringing some injured firefighters.
Wow.
So that really reinforced for me the desire to have something to do with healthcare and to really make a difference. I mean, we saw the whole city totally in chaos, and we saw what really matters. And to me, having a career that's meaningful, that I can combine care with others and help people and support my family at the same time, to me, that just gives meaning for it.
Yeah, wow, that's some story, Baruch. I had not you had not shared that with me previously. That's pretty intense. So speaking of intense, and speaking of again, sort of maybe putting you a little bit uncomfortable zone, uh, what's the last time you cried?
A little while ago. So, as you know, I'm a physician as well. So I do see patients in the emergency department still. I'm very privileged to have that opportunity. In addition, because in my community and others, people know as a physician, and they call me to ask me for medical advice, to discuss cases, to do things like that. And someone called me not long ago to discuss a case in a situation with me, and it was a devastating situation. It was someone who sustained a major hit, and talking to their family about some of the options, none of which were good. They wanted to bring this family member home, and it wasn't very simple. And it's hard to get care in the house, et cetera, versus nursing home. There were just a lot of emotions there. And when I hung up, I just put my head down and cried a little bit because I felt it was powerless. It was helpless. This is a family going through so much, loveliest people. The children are salt of the earth. Parents are, the person who this was, lovely, has a mother who's still alive. They sacrificed so much to come to the United States. They lived through tons of hardship, and now he's basically comatose to some extent.
Yeah.
And it was just devastating. And the magnitude of that, and that sometimes, despite all our advances in medicine, sometimes we just don't have any good offers or any other alternative. And with our healthcare system being what it is, and so fragmented and not integrated, I felt a lot of empathy for that family, and that was the way I expressed it.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry to hear that about that. that family. That's tough. What was something you really wanted in life or career and didn't get?
When I was a resident, they had a resident leadership position that I really wanted. I thought I was the right person for that job, and I didn't get it. One of my colleagues got it, a
Yeah.
colleague who I respect, and it hurt. It really hurt. And being able to take the feedback and also realize that maybe this is a good thing. And in the end, it was the greatest thing, because had I gotten that job, I probably would have not come to the Cleveland Clinic. And had I not come to the Cleveland Clinic, I don't think I would have had the opportunities to do what I've done so far and to make a difference and to really be part of an amazing a great organization that does so many things. So the lesson for me is, also as a man of faith, some things are not meant to be, and it's okay, because they'll often work out for the better. And every time I thought I knew what I wanted and then something didn't work out that way and I was disappointed, it ended up working out that much better.
Yeah.
So embrace them sometimes. Grow from the setbacks. Grow from those opportunities that you're given, because it'll only make you stronger and better. At least it has for me.
Yeah. No, that's a good lesson. Yeah, because that's the way life is. We won't always get what we want. There'll be disappointments, and you instead of like, kicking at something or cursing, you learn from it. And often, like you said, can lead to some great things.
And in fact, I have deep, tremendous respect for my leaders from that era, from when I was in residency at the time. They taught me so much. I keep up with them. I have the utmost respect for them. I was not the right person for that job, and it allowed me to learn, reflect, regroup, and grow.
Yeah.
So I'm still grateful and still have tremendous respect for them.
Speaking of obstacles and growth, what about a time where you made a mistake? What was a mistake that you made, and what did you learn from it?
So one area, it's not actually in healthcare. I think one of a mistake I've made is I actually am not super financially savvy. I'm good. I don't have debt, thank God, and I'm responsible in that realm. But as far as investments, as far as financial planning, understanding how to plan for the future, how the stock market works, mutual funds, I'm entirely dependent on the folks from the various companies that our organizations have that tell you which
Yeah.
mutual fund to put it in. And for my family, I mean, it'll be okay. Thank God, it'll be okay. Understanding a little more about that probably would be better and allow me to make more educated decisions. But
Yeah.
can't do everything.
Yeah, well, it's hard to be, a doctor, family man, and man of faith, all the different roles that you play, and be like a financial guru. But yeah, I get your point. What about thank you cards? Like, when's the last time you received a thank you card, or perhaps wrote one?
So actually, Ed, you did that really well at Cleveland Clinic. I remember early on, we met, and you were very vulnerable, and you opened yourself up and said, why don't you come by for some feedback and let's talk. And I came up to your office in NA4, the hallway of awesomeness over there, and you really opened it up and asked for genuine feedback on what I thought. And I the term is bandied around psychological safety, and at that point I really felt that I had that. Nothing bad happened, so I guess I did. And you opened yourself up and you said, what do you think? And I shared some thoughts from my time being in the role, some of the personalities, and how we can take our group to the next level, especially with some of the vision that you had outlined for us. And I remember a couple of days later, it came by intra-office mail, a handwritten note from you saying thank you. And I don't think I'd ever seen that from any other leader, where, I mean, people write an email, but there's something to be said about writing a card. So that was something that I remember you did and is very meaningful. I actually wrote one last week to one of my colleagues for the holidays. It's someone who's a peer of mine, and has been a very welcoming colleague. We've kind of in a little different lanes, but we work very closely together, and he treats me well. He's always available to give advice. He's respectful, and I feel like we have a really mutual collaboration. So I decided to write him a note before the holiday and tell him how much I appreciate it and how I don't take it for granted. Having someone that you can use the term best friend at work or a colleague at work, having someone like that was something I didn't take for granted. And I wrote him a handwritten note
That's
to tell
cool.
him.
Yeah, that's very cool. What would you tell the graduating class of your med school? So you're invited back, Baruch, and they're like, tell us something, that'll be helpful to us in terms of, but specifically, like, is there a part of their life or career that they should really relish? Like maybe because we rushed through it, you rushed through it, or what's something they should relish?
Their personal life. One, no one ever regretted spending too much time with their family. No
Yeah.
one ever regretted being there for the various milestones. And I know it's a cliche. My kids know me. My kids know who I am. I've made myself very present, and I've been fortunate that I've had the ability to schedule my work life that I could be there for my kids. For the longest time, I did all my clinical work on the weekends, weekend nights, because it allowed me to be there during the week for them and to take them on trips and do things like that. So being in the moment, being there, kids only grow up over a certain period of time. Even for someone though who doesn't have children, slightly different. Every single scenario is a teaching point. I remember I was in med school, and I had walked out of a patient's room that I think had been in Tisch Hospital, in the old NYU hospital, and I think it's still called Tisch, in Tisch Hospital for 100 and something days. And I walked out of the room and as a young whippersnapper said something silly like, "This is a waste of my time." And one of my friend's father, who was one of the attendings, saw me and said, "There's no scenario or situation or patient that you can't learn from." And he proceeded to give me a talk on calcium homeostasis, that this patient had a calcium issue. And it was a profound lesson for me, is that there's, no matter what, you can learn from any situation. You just
Yeah.
have to have your eyes open and your ears open and be willing to listen and be willing to see. And that's it. We're all people, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? What are you going to be next? Just take it all in. Everything's a good experience. Waiting for the subway this morning, and it's saying 0 minutes that the subway was going to come, but it didn't come for 6 minutes. You can learn from that. I know how I can extrapolate that to see how patients feel when they're in the emergency department and they want to know when their studies are going to be back, and they don't even have that counter. So every experience that one encounters can be used as growth and to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah. No, those are excellent. You're going to get all sorts of invitations now to be speaking at these universities, med school graduations. This is, you just mentioned not to be too, be in the here and now and not be too worried about what's way ahead. But I'm going to ask you a way ahead question. So what's next? I know you're new, 15 months. You're going to do a great job at NYP for years. Have you ever thought about, like, do you want to be CEO of NYP? I mean, do you have a grand goal of any sort, or you just take it sort of year by year?
Yeah, I have no desire to be a CEO. And for me, it's less about the role, it's more about the meaning. So I want to feel like I'm making a difference.
Yeah.
I want to know that it's appreciated and that it's valued, the things I'm doing, and that I'm empowering and supporting the people around me and the teams. So as long as we continue to do good work, as long as I feel like I'm making a difference and there's meaning and I'm appreciated, this is great. This is an organization that has so much available and does so many great things. I'm not really focused on the next step, as in doing everything I can in this step to be the best I can, to help my team be the best, to help NYP transform for this new evolution of how care is going to be delivered, and see what comes along on the way. I never expected to be in this role,
Yeah.
never. And even if in the days when I was an informaticist working for you, I never thought that I would wind up in this role doing quality. How did I pivot to quality? Because when I was doing informatics stuff, we ended up doing quality work, and there was no one to do quality. So I then was doing quality and informatics, and then quality, I went to enterprise quality, and it just happened. So sometimes allowing it to flow naturally, being open to new ideas, not saying no. I mean, at some point you have to say no to a board or a conference or something, but early on, not saying no and just taking those opportunities. In my wildest dreams, I can't type. I never thought that I would be an informaticist, board certified in clinical informatics,
Yeah.
working on the electronic medical record. It happens, and I've enjoyed every step of the journey.
No, that's really sage advice. So on the personal side, as we sort of close out, same sort of thing. Is there, not in terms of the future, but something that you're working on in terms of mastery, like, well, I don't even want to plant a seed. I just leave it open ended for you. So, on the personal side, anything there that you hope to accomplish.
Yeah, so growth is important to me. Doing the same thing it doesn't work for me. As human beings, as people, we have to grow in many different ways, and we have to try new things. We have to learn new things, because that's what life to me is about. Life is about another obstacle or another growth opportunity, and making oneself better, improving their character. So for me, things like being less reactive, being more reflective. I spent a lot of time in Ohio trying to not be, New York, you got to answer everything rapidly. So I spent time working on that. I think I've improved significantly from when I first came to Ohio, when they were like, who's this kid? What's he thinking? On the other hand, I still have a ways to go to be more reflective, be more contemplative, less reactive. And also now, as I'm becoming more comfortable in my leadership position, helping others grow and shine, giving other people the opportunity to grow, giving other people the opportunity to share their ideas, amplify them, give them a voice. That's what diversity is about. Because if it's one person and one voice, it's an echo chamber, and it doesn't make us better. If we have the opportunity for other people to be heard, for other ideas to be heard, it just makes us better. So being able to be comfortable enough with who I am to say, okay, let me let someone else, let's hear what other people have to say at the meetings, etc. That's something that I'm going to be spending a lot of time working on this year.
That's good. Baruch, you're an amazing man, amazing leader, individual, clinician, friend. Thank you for being a guest on Behind the Mask and being vulnerable.
Thank you, Ed. I really enjoyed working together with you, and it was great to reconnect and see all the things you've done. So thank you, and thanks for having me.
All right, that wraps up another edition of Behind the Mask. Thanks for watching.